This video is not going to be in my usual style, and it is very rushed because I only found this game a couple days ago, and I've just got to get the message out there before it's too late. What if I told you there is a 64-player, mixed infantry and vehicle combat shooter with full multi-crew spaceship battles, shipboarding, and full offline bot support? You'd either think, holy shit, did they finally release that Star Citizen PvP mode? Or you'd think this is another Kickstarter project with infinite scope creep that will never actually release. Well, this is neither. This is Angels Fall First, and it is a real game that you can play right now, and there is no catch. The reason I'm rushing this video out the door is that it hits its 1.0 update tomorrow, July 11th, 2026, and I guarantee that is the largest player count this game is ever going to get, as it's an indie game being made by a tiny team in their free time and weekends over the past 11 years. If you don't want to watch the rest of this video, I'll say this game is 20 bucks and so very much worth the money. If you like PlanetSide, Battlefield, or dogfighting space games, then you're gonna love this. And if you get the chance to play it with a full server on launch day, you aren't going to forget it. And for the rest of you who are interested in learning a little bit more, Angels Fall First started out as a homeworld mod, which built the AFF universe. A few years later, the same team of modders made Angels Fall First Planet Storm, which was now a mod of Unreal Tournament 3, and took on the Combined Arms infantry combat scene in the full game. This won the Make Something Unreal grant from Epic Games, and they were granted a $30,000 investment to make it into a full game. And thus, Angels Fall First launched on Steam in 2015 into early access. As the team is made up of hobbyist modders, they've been making updates in their free time for the past 11 years, until just 2 weeks ago, they announced it will finally be leaving early access and hit its 1.0 on the 11th, which is where I heard about it. Actually playing the game, you can tell it started life as a shooter in the 2000s. There's a floatiness to both the gunplay and the movement that's very indicative of the time it started development. It also has a layer of indie jank that you might expect from a title like this. However, despite all that, it's still completely worth your time. Just be aware of that going in. It's not going to have the polish of a AAA game. It does, however, have an incredibly in-depth loadout customization with separate budgets for command support and combat items, meaning you can create extremely diverse class setups, because taking support gear and taking selfish utility fill up different meters, meaning you're encouraged to multi-class instead of laser focusing on a single role. It also has just such a clear display of passion with the humorous tutorials,
I think he's going to be just fine now. You can return to the briefing room for more tutorials. We'll be holding the court-martial later.
the immersive ship launches, the awesome menu backgrounds, the flavor text written for every weapon, the optional mission briefings before you load in explaining why you're fighting and who you're fighting and what your faction's fighting for, separate announcers for each faction, and just so much more. You can tell that this has been a labor of love. Combine that with the genuinely fantastic ship combat, where you can on the fly swap between arcadey ship controls where you fly where your mouse is pointing, or full momentum-based flight controls, letting you hit crazy maneuvers like drifting sideways while broadsiding another fighter with your cannons. Not to mention the capital ships with full multi-crew layouts, where you can have gunners, engineers, and even launch more fighters from the launch bays in your ship. Then there's the game modes where you have to board enemy ships or space stations as infantry to destroy their systems from the inside. The level of ambition is insane, and the fact that it all works pretty damn seamlessly is just so impressive. The only real downside is the lack of players. This game peaked at its early access launch with just 1,000 players, and now sits at barely over 50 per day. And it's such a shame, because if you have a full team, this game is just incredible. There's an entire commander role where you get to see the whole battlefield in an overview map, and you can issue orders to both real players or bots, just like an RTS, on how to attack and defend, and players get bonus points for following these orders. So please, I beg you, this is probably going to be your only chance to experience AFF with a decent player count, and it's going to be tomorrow. Do not miss this opportunity. You do not want to have your only experience with this game being videos in 5 years looking back saying, exploring a dead game that should have been the next big thing, as people talk about how amazing it was, but it just never caught on. So please, do yourself a favor and try this game before it's too late.